Hello, everyone. Welcome to you all. My name is Elizabeth Ngero, and today we have another show for you. This will be the last in this season, and we'll have a break over the summer and then come back again to inspire you on your personal development journey. And today's show is all about assistive technology. I don't know if you're quite aware of what assistive technology is and how you can use it in your personal development journey, but that is exactly what we're going to be going into for today's show. Just to remind you, again, there is a 10-second delay from when I'm speaking with my guest to when you'll be hearing it on either YouTube or Facebook. So do bear with us in terms of your responses for questions and things like that. But definitely do put in your questions in the live chat. Should be on your right hand side on YouTube, and my guests will be able to hopefully answer all your questions and give you lots of tips and hints on how you can improve your personal development journey with the use of assistive technology. Now, I don't know about you, but I've really enjoyed the different guests that we've had over the season, starting off with Andrew Abury, looking at putting together your goals and how to achieve them, visualizing what it is that you want to achieve in life and going for it and having a disciplined attitude, to Maria Tati, who was talking to us about business and the ins and outs of business, the boring parts, the interesting parts, the things that we need to remember to do, filing our tax returns, good tip, and getting certification, and looking at how that can really help us for those of you out there who want to go into business and want to look at venturing into new things that you've really been thinking about over this time of lockdown, maybe, or over the past few years, and taking that step forward to actually going ahead and doing it. And then we looked into the mental health and mental well-being with Dr. Leke Oyemade, and we looked at Dr. Temi Oyemade was telling us all about the things that we need to be able to do to be at our optimum, and the things that we should be aware of, things like diet, and things like our life circumstances that can trigger things within our lives to bring on mental ill health, and the things that we need to do like resting and drinking water to be able to promote mental well-being. And I'm sure lots of you, as well as I, found that session very useful. And just to summarize the season so far, we moved on to the sort of coaching and more personal development type of topics. For example, with Wanu Okoye, looking at how we can coach ourselves and how we can, look at life in such a way to get the best out of it. And as well with Denry Case Phillips, looking as well at our goals and how we can achieve our goals and how we can move forward in that. And one part of this season that really touched me was our first sort of story and inspirational story of Benjamin Addy, who went through a loss, but came out on the other side, or is coming out of the other side with the help of counseling and with the help of having support around you. And that was really heartwarming and really encouraging for any of you out there who are going through loss, especially at this period in time, this period that we've gone through. A lot of you will be experiencing loss, unfortunately. And so really, I hope that's an encouragement for you to keep going, keep putting one foot in front of the other as you move forward on your life journey, taking other people with you on that positive way forward for you in your particular life. So thank you very much for all of you who've been able to watch the whole series. If you've been able to catch bits and bobs, thank you as well for joining us and asking questions. But I would like to encourage you to go ahead and binge on all the different things there, because every time you watch something, you'll be able to get something different from it. When we'll all get something different from each of these sessions that I've had, especially like last week with Sharon Firth talking about different personality styles and different personality traits that we can work on, emotional intelligence, things like that. It's just rich information for us to be able to use in our day-to-day life. So looking at all the things that we've done today, we still have another very interesting show for you, and we'll be looking at assistive technology. So just as a question, as a quiz, a mini quiz, I'd like you to tell me what you think assistive technology is, because our guest is going to be coming in to talk about that very shortly. And he'll be actually explaining to us what we can do with assistive technology and how we can use it specifically in our personal development journey. Now, Miles Pelling is someone that, you know, you can look at his life and look at his career and the things that he's chosen to do, the life decisions he's made, is a type of person that you want to have in your corner. You know, he's a type of person that you can go to for information or tech things, life experiences as well. And that's what I really love about the guests that we've had. And again, we've been able to get a really good guest for you who's got lots of life experiences, lots of technical knowledge in their field. And he's worked as a special educational needs educator. He has a podcast, which he's been able to put up and get running as well, and a website there to help people all over the world to be able to access information that they need, and also to be able to do everyday activities to help them in their day-to-day walk in life. So I thought, hold on a second. Let me get this very, very resourceful man to come on air and share with us what we could do in our personal development journey to help us move forward day by day, and tools that we can use to be able to help us push ourselves and take those steps to get to where we want to. Because as you know, there are lots of things that you know in your head, right? In terms of what you need to do to move ahead. But there are some barriers that you might be facing that's stopping you from actually doing that. And hopefully today, we'll be able to unveil some of these different things that you can use to help you overcome those barriers and move forward in your journey. Thank you once again, everyone who is coming into the chat as well. Do just put your questions in there. Miles is willing to answer those questions for you. But let me just welcome my guest here today so that he can actually introduce himself and we can find out more about assistive technology. But do answer that question. What is assistive technology? Put that in the chat box as you are listening to his introduction. Hello, Miles. Welcome.
Welcome, Liz. It's good to see you.
It was a bit of a longer introduction today, I'm afraid, but that's just because we're coming to the end of the season. And I just really wanted to remind us about what the journey that we've taken on together as a group. And then also just as a precursor to what we're going to engage in and what we're going to enjoy from you today. So I'm going to be picking your brains today. So I hope you're ready.
Oh dear, I've got some brains to be picked.
You've got lots. You've got lots. Trust me. So I mean, to be a university lecturer at Bath University, you must have some brains there to be able to at least lecture something.
Well, you know what PhD stands for, don't you?
What does it stand for?
Phenomenally dumb. But anyway, that would be a disrespect to people with PhDs.
With PhD, so no, we're going to scratch that off.
Let's scrap that away in the repeats. But yeah.
So Miles, thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Not
what I'd
at
like
all.
to do first of all is find out who you are as a person. So I will ask you the question. Don't back off. I'd like you to ask not what do you do, but who are you as a person?
Wow. To my daughter, I'm a fun-loving person, and I can be humorous. I can be somebody to have a joke with, as well as being this serious geeky side. To the world, I might appear as a geek, of which I am. I love a problem and I like to solve it, and I won't let go until I've found a solution. And that is very much part of what I am. As a teacher, I'm wanting to learn all the time. And this is the perfect subject for me because such tremendous developments over the last even few months even. Who would have believed that we would have to depend on video conferencing to talk to people in our families, in our extended network of people. And as far as a person concerned, I am a Christian, and that holds my beliefs very closely to what I do. It motivates me. It's the inspiration. It's the reason that I'm here. And I love football. Sad but true. I support a team nobody else in the whole world.
No, don't tell us what team you you support. We might get people leaving the stream just because of football.
I know.
Stay away from football.
I love to draw. I love to take photographs. It's my hobby. And hopefully I'm a person that, as you've very nicely said, somebody you could talk to and not feel put off by. I usually start a training session by saying no question too small, no question too silly. Please ask them. I'll try my best to answer. And I can't pretend to be arrogant and say I know all the answers, but
Yeah.
at least I would try to give you an honest solution as to where that could be,
Yes.
but or where it could be found. Yeah, I'm quite old, so I'm thinking about what next steps to get involved with, and I have so many things to do. I can never be bored, even in lockdown.
Yeah.
And this time has been especially busy for me. And there's loads of people needing my skill set to enable them to contact their friends in church or access things in the community. Um, I, I'm actually a member of a men's shed. It's not very politically
Oh,
correct, a men's shed. And I've been able to keep them meeting each other when they can't actually meet because they use Zoom, which is a
okay. And
video
before
conference.
they had to use Zoom, were they actually in a shed, physical shed?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Actually, there is a shed, and they make things in it, and it's
Sounds
designed for all
interesting.
retired men and women too. We're not exactly exclusive, I think, but the idea is it's a making crew, and it actually is saving lives
Mm,
because when people retire from work, they think, well, that's it. I don't have any purpose anymore.
yeah.
And this is providing a purpose for people to actually use the skills in a purposeful way. We do community projects. I mean, not me personally, perhaps, but we make signs for the allotments. We make park benches for people. I mean, it's just
Wow.
incredible what one can do. There's loads out there to
With the
do,
skills.
and
That's right.
yeah, absolutely.
And I
And
think sort of the things that you're talking about as well, it's just taking me back to the different areas of life that we had with one of our guests. And it seems that you've really sort of made sure that you are tapping into those different areas of life, your spirituality, physical, looking at emotional well-being with the men's shed, and then using your skills. So also your brain matter as well, using your brain and keeping yourself active that way. So it seems like you're really, a testament to what we've just been talking about on this show, in terms of don't just wait for retirement to start doing things, or don't think that when you get to retirement, that's it, that's the goal to reach for. You are an all-rounded human being. Use those skills, keep those skills active, and find out what you enjoy.
Yeah. Find out what you enjoy and keep on doing it. Back in 2013, I was given a stark choice to. I was made redundant from the job I'd love every day. I had no problem getting up. I loved what I did, but sadly, due to austerity, my role was cut in the authority I was working for, and I had a choice: do I retire and enjoy a nice retirement in a nice sunny place somewhere? Or do I continue to do what I love? So I chose to continue to do what I love. It wasn't in my plan originally, and I set up my own business to continue to help people through assistive technology. Do you want me to give a definition of that? Because at the
Yes.
moment you've
Now I was
mentioned it
waiting to
3 or 4
see if any.
times.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if anyone was going to be able to answer that question. And it's great if no one actually knows what the answer is, because then you could educate people. So I haven't had any responses yet. So what I will do is I will ask you, what is assistive technology?
Well, we know what the word assistance means. So it's to assist you. And I think if you were looking at technology in its broadest terms, in fact, in its purest form, it's actually tools to help you do what you normally do. And you can
Mm,
experience it in your own home. There are devices in your home you probably even never think of as assistive devices. For instance, your microwave or your washing machine have programs in it and they assist the washing. Imagine what it would be like if there was no programs in your washing machine. You literally had to take the stuff out and put it through a wringer or mangle it, but you had to do all the processes. So assistive technology takes that out of your hands and makes it simple. And I love technology that's simple, not complicated. Um,
don't we all?
and
Yeah.
we're often talking about assistive technology in the home. For instance, many of you may have smart speakers, Alexa or Google Home, and they're an assistive tool. And it's been helping one blind lady. Actually, she was so depressed because of her condition. It wasn't just blindness, but physical disability. and she'd lost the use of her hands, which further emphasized the difficulty. She had a rare condition, and she was suicidal. She actually tried to commit suicide 4 or 5 times.
Mm.
And she got one of these devices, the Alexa, actually the Dot, the smallest one, cost you about 49 quid. Um, and um, and now she's engaging with the world. She uses it to make phone calls. She uses it to listen to books. She uses it to play games. She uses it in practical ways. In fact, one of the problems that you and I, if you're sighted or have all your faculties, is that you often write emails. You know,
Mm.
physically write them. You know, in terms of typing and that. But she couldn't do that. She had no use of her hands. And what she wanted me to tell her is what to do to send an email. And lo and behold, the Alexa doesn't do emails for many few years. We haven't been able to do that. And just yesterday, we managed to get emails to be done by speaking into Alexa and saying, open my mail. And she's now able to write emails, not send a voice message, which is what usually happens with blind people, but actually send an email.
An
That
email,
means
right?
An email means that her disability is not noticeable. It
Yes.
doesn't matter that she spent maybe 10 or 15 minutes composing it, and it doesn't show her blindness, where
Mm.
obviously a phone message would say, this person might be disabled or something. Anyway, it's just
Yes.
a point to
Yes.
note how technology can change the way people view you. And, it's all part of that.
I think that's really, really an important point, actually, that I would like to touch upon in terms of how technology, how a disability, for example, can change the way people view you. Because it's all, it's a nice thing to think that we don't have prejudice, but I would say that every single person on this planet has prejudice.
Right, right.
Every single person. So it's a case of I acknowledging what that is and
Mm.
then reacting in a way that doesn't disadvantage the other person. Because the person who, let's say, receives the voice messages all the time might be like, oh, can't they just send me an email? I've got to listen to this all. But if they sort of had an understanding of why it was that they needed to do that, and even if they disclosed why they needed to do that, not having that negative prejudice against them, oh, they're blind. Can they really do that job? Or can they really, do they really need that service? Does a blind person need that service? Then that can help us move forward, even in just how we see other people. But that's just an aside.
No,
So back
it's
to this,
yeah, absolutely important aside.
yeah, very, very important aside. And some of these things, people that don't have, let's say, specific disabilities would be oblivious. We just don't know about it until you hear someone like you telling us, the general public, that this is what happens behind the scenes. This is what people are going through, and these are the things that we can do to actually help and assist the person.
We
So
are going
great.
through a particularly difficult period in our history because of COVID, because of now the possibility of people coming out of COVID, which is actually equally as devastating as the disease for a lot of people with disabilities, as it's so scary for them, particularly if you're deaf and your person that you're talking to is wearing a mask because they can't lip read.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So there are lots of things about it. Also, if you are deaf and you're moving through an area, social distancing is a problem too, because you can't hear people coming up behind you. And if you're blind, you don't know how far people are away from you. But
Yes.
except there is assistive technology that can help. There's a pair of glasses that actually gives rather like your sensors on your car. So it starts to beep as people come closer to you. And so you get an idea of how much 2 meters might be in a beep zone.
Yes.
Beep, 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 beep means you're really on top of them, but beep, beep, beep might mean
You're
they're two
safe.
meters apart. So yeah, it presents different kinds of challenges for this. And as you quite rightly say, they're at home. And for many people, COVID then, for those kind of people, the muscular cirrhosis, dystrophies, those people who are at home all the time with illnesses, this is normal. This is the way they've always lived their lives. You have just been brought into it. Wow. Isn't that interesting? Right. So. Hello?
Yes.
I've
No,
suddenly
I was just
zoomed.
yes, no, no. I was
Wow.
just like I was letting you make that point that there are people that have been living this life for years and years and years for whatever different reasons, lots of different reasons. But then some of us have just been thrown into this situation and it's all new, and people are thinking, how can I be like this for 12 weeks? Whereas someone else
Mm,
has been like, in that situation, isolated away from people for, 20 years.
very much so. Yeah.
so
And
so So, from what
go
I
on.
understand, then the assistive technology is anything that can help you to
Yes.
do your day to day, to live your day to day life.
Absolutely, and
Okay.
for my background in terms of a teacher, I came in to help children with recording difficulties, those with dyslexia, and those with physical difficulties like cerebral palsy, to be able to do their writing because they can't actually use one of these, particularly if you've got cerebral palsy and lack of hand function. So
Yeah.
what do you do? Well, you've got the potential of using a computer, and for those with dyslexia, it's just another tool that they can use to access their world. But I mean, our subject tonight, personal development. I just want to say that I've actually made a I preach the walk I talk. So, essentially, I put a lot of information up there. I call them tips for you in your personal development because we all struggle with the technology in some form. And therefore, yeah, you've put the link up there. But you don't feel you have to remember everything I'm going to say because I have put it down on that page and you can access it later. So,
Thank
and
you.
it's, so yeah, basically, we could do that. Can I just show the
Would you like
page?
to take
So,
us through that? Yeah. Would you like to
yeah,
take us
yeah. Let me
through
just
what you're
take
going to
that
share with us?
through there. Yeah. Okay. So on here we've now got some tips that I want to go through, and the first one is get organized. Technology can really help you with your organizational skills.
Mm.
And this is something that's around that you can actually do. And one of the major problems is remembering passwords. We now live in a world of passwords, endless passwords. Okay. First tip number one, Google stores your passwords. Now, you might
Yes.
have a real thing about Google storing your passwords, but Google will do that. It will store your passwords and it will enable you to be able to actually have them autofill if you really struggle with that. It is all protected by your Google password initially. When you
So
sign
if you
into
forget that
Google,
one, so if you forget the main
you,
one, then
oh,
you're in trouble.
it's you need to remember the Lord of the Rings, one ring to rule them all. And so
Okay.
if you've got the right password to do that, and a proper password is basically if you were going to do it absolutely properly, it would make absolute nonsense and totally
Mm.
not rememberable. Uppercase, lowercase,
Special
numeric,
character.
symbols.
Yeah.
But if you can incorporate uppercase, lowercase, a numeral, and a symbol, then you have a fairly strong password that
Yes.
will cope with most things that you can actually remember as well. I use series, but I'm not going to tell you what that is. But it's a lot, but it is the keys of the kingdom, and with that, you can then run lots of different things. So
Through
that's
that.
tip number one.
And I think you've put
Um,
there in your, I think you've put there, you've got Google has an option to save passwords, but also you've got there one password. Is that a website?
That is indeed, yes. It's a
Okay.
subscription-based password storing tool. And so I can carry that around on my phone. You have to have a password, or in my case, a biometric fingerprint. So, I put it onto my phone and I can access that. And
All your
that's the keys of
passwords.
that king. Yeah. So
Okay.
you now know how to actually rob me and steal my passwords and access the entire world. Moving on, presumably you can see I'm moving down the screen.
Yes.
Um, use the assistive tech that's under your nose. Well,
Mm.
literally not under your nose, but near to hand.
Mm.
Google has some great tools for that. And so you can actually be able to store websites. It's called bookmarks and favorites. You're well aware of that. But
Yes.
it's vitally important that you actually have an organization of those into folders, into the bar at the bottom. Most of my, bar underneath the address bar. And if you've got the most frequent ones you use, it'll save you time and make your life simple. And then there are some assistive tech things which we can go into, which I would love to demonstrate. Would it be okay to go on to that before we move on
Yes,
to tip
sure.
3? I am lecturing you. This is terrible.
No,
You
no,
need
this
to
is
rub it
great
in.
because you've got the information and we want to have it. We're just soaking this up.
That's good. That's great.
I
So
think
what
that's the
do
thing as well. While you find that, I'll let you get to the screen that you need to get up. I think that's one thing that you mentioned about using what's under our noses. I think it's very, very key because we get these, laptops and phones, flashy smartphones, if you have one, that could do so many things. And I find for me, the main thing for me, which you could probably help me overcome and show me a few tips and hints, is that the phone can do so many things, but you just don't know that it can do it. And most of the time, when let's say if I haven't had a new phone in years and years and years, but when I have a new phone, I don't actually go through the, what do you call it? The demo. I just sort of put it on. Oh, can I make a call? Great. Can I download, WhatsApp? Great. And then move forward. And therefore I had that lack of knowledge of what the phone can actually do, unless I stumble across it or something like that.
Right.
So is there? I don't think there's any cure to that because I think I'm just a dive in, and if I need to use it, then maybe I might search. But I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who have so many things that they have available to them, even like a voice recorder on their phone, and they don't realize.
That's correct. We reckon it's like 20% of the tool that you actually use. And often it's a case, I didn't know it did that. But the major mover of this, and it's a really important point for helping people in assistive technology, you only use what you want to use. You're not going to use stuff that, the problem is that in a lot of training contexts for technology, they tell you everything that this wonderful tool can use. But actually, you're only going to use it when you have a need to use it. And that's more than important for helping people, listening to what they're saying.
Yes.
So the second thing here, I've just got it now. I'm just going to share the screen there. Let's see. Can you pull it up, Liz? Are we there?
There we go.
Cool. I hope you can hear this as well.
So this is Word.
This is Word. This is Office 365 or Microsoft 365. It's now called. It's the web-based thing. If I speak techie and you don't understand, please let us know. Pull me up on that, Liz.
That's fine. Yes, I will.
Yeah, and it's in versions 2016, 2019. And one of the things that I want to pull up to you is this little button here called the microphone. And they just built this in. And I'm going to put my hands up because I think you can all see that. I'll click the button first. But what this does, it allows you to just speak into the computer. Did you know that you can speak 50% faster than you can type? Which is an interesting thing. And if you suffer from a repetitive strain injury, as a lot of people who do a lot of typing can suffer from, it's painful to type. I was just talking to a lady the other day who struggles to do this. So I was suggesting that perhaps she uses some form of speech recognition to do what she does. So here's the demo. Here's the live demo. It is really important to know that your words can be put into text. And here I am holding my hands up. Full stop.
Oh.
New paragraph. Exclamation mark. Wow! Exclamation mark. New paragraph.
So it's taking down everything that you are saying. It's interpreting it and just putting it down on the paper without you having to type it.
Precisely. Did you know that was in there? Because that's what I spend my life doing, telling people what is there. Because
what's in there?
Over the last year, that has come about, and you may not even know it was there. Is it the best speech recognition? No, I equate it to the Mini. The Mini car is a wonderful car. It does a simple job. It's not very big, but It's a good tool for town and for other things. It's a mini. But then there's the Rolls Royce, and the Rolls Royce of speech recognition is Dragon Dictate
I
Naturally
have heard of
Speaking.
Dragon. Yes.
Most people have, and most people tried it about 5 or 6 years ago when it was pretty bad, and they gave up immediately. So what now? I would say it's 99% accurate in what it does. But the fun doesn't stop there. For a dyslexic person, this could be life-changing
Yes.
because it actually shows what they can do, not what they can't do.
That's
Teachers are notorious for judging kids on the quality and style of their writing. So you might have a child or a person who has great ideas but cannot get it down on paper. Now, if you're that type of person, this tool is fabulous for you. The next thing I'm just going to show is
and can
here.
you just can
Go
you
on.
just tell me? So I think with this as well, can it read it back to you?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to show you now.
Ah, great.
Because when I click on the View menu, it shows this thing called Immersive Reader. And again, this is no extra cost to the product. And it's the way assistive text should be done. It's built into the product. You pay for the product. That's it. There's no additional cost to it. No subscriptions, that kind of thing. So it's called Immersive Reader, this. And this is what it does. It basically gives you a background. And for dyslexics, the white paper is really very different, very difficult for them.
White and black.
Yeah, so this kind of coloring, cyan with a black better is better for them to decode. And sometimes it's difficult for eyes to track across the screen. So you can decrease spacing or you can increase it. It'll do that for you. And the most important thing is text to speech. This would change people's lives. In fact, a colleague of mine in India has been using text to speech in a Indian school, completely different culture, with obviously different language, but the same thing. What I'm going to show you, he's been using. Not one child in that school is unable to read. They all can read. And it's done because this happens.
It is really important to know that your words can be put into text, and here I am holding my hands up. Wow. It is really important to know.
Okay,
Fantastic.
Did you get it?
Yes, I did. Hope you all heard that at home.
Yeah, it shows the text being read to you. It's also put in a form that you can highlighting each word. And again, it goes back to that very first principle that we all use. We only use what we want to use. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of teaching schemes, and I'm not dissing them, they're fine. But
you've been a teacher yourself, so
I've been a teacher myself. But I've always believed in something that relates to the child's experience. So as wonderful as Bip and Chip is in the Oxford Reading Tree, some of the experiences are extremely middle-class white and not at all relevant to some children's lifestyles. So if you're writing about your experiences, then you obviously want to use words that express that. So yeah, it's really important.
So your own words. So we've had a question here from African American Mum Lesson, welcome, who said, so how do you do that? I think you've just joined in a little bit later, but if I can summarize how to do it, then you can see, Miles, if I understand your explanation.
Yes, please. Have you learned?
Yeah, that's how you learn. So this is through Word 365. And what you can do is, but the Word 365, I think you buy once, do you? And then it uploads onto your computer. And you can put it on different.
There are annual subscription fees, but if you buy a family or education license, if you're a family or child, you got it for life. I think it's about £59. Yeah, okay. But obviously, the online version will have constant updates. What you buy as a product will be whatever it is. And nowadays, Microsoft provide it as a service. So
so you could write to them to say that I have this issue, please can you give this to me because I can't use your product without it. So in essence, what you do is through Microsoft 365 or Office. and then you would need to load the system up, and it's there already. So you'll see a microphone in the top. Actually, if you could take us back to the microphone, just so that she could see.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you click on the microphone and you just speak.
That's correct. Yeah. Now,
And it records your
obviously,
words.
how you speak is very much the key issue. So it's on the home menu. That's the first thing you see. Okay. I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see it, which would help. Okay. There we go. Let's see if it copes with some personal information on this. Not too personal.
PIN number.
My name is Miles Pelling. Full stop. New paragraph. Open quotes.
So in that situation there, Miles, if you physically can't go to change the spelling, would you then have to have assistance to do that, or would it be a case that the person who's reading the information should also be able to translate your style of writing based on the technology you're using?
One of the problems with this is it has very few editing features. Remember, it's the Mini, not the Rolls Royce.
Right.
If this occurs a lot, then you would want to be able to edit it with your voice. And the command is highlight Pelling, and then it would highlight it, and then it would change it. I will try, but I think you'll find that it won't work. Highlight Pelling.
I was thinking you're speaking to it, so it should write what you've just said.
Yes, that's all it does. So the editing feature is its downside to it. But what I always say to my students, especially when they were learning to use speech recognition, if it's not saying what you want it to say, think of another way to say it, because that usually will allow you to get around a lot of problems. But if you want that finesse, then you're going to have to pay for the Rolls-Royce version of it. So drag and dictate.
Yeah, so you mentioned then that they use this in India, because we've had a message here from African American Mums Lesson, who says, so you have to be fluent in English, I think, because if it's recognizing those English words. But you've just said that they were using it in India. Were they speaking a local language and it was just writing the words?
Well, in Word, you can change it to any language set, and particularly the whole computer. So it would work in any native language. It's just a case of changing the language of the computer. I don't particularly want to do that now because I would be totally
and then there'll be lots of things, and also how to change it back. That's the problem.
Yeah,
it's when your child gets your phone and changes it to Chinese or something, and you're like, what do you have to press to get it back to English?
Absolutely.
So I think that's really great, because for me, I'm just thinking in terms of personal development, there's so many uses for this. In terms of, you can use it to write a book, because sometimes you finish a long day, you have the ideas in your head, you just need to get it down on paper. And you don't necessarily want to be looking at the screen as well, even for people that suffer with things like migraines or whatnot, and they don't want to have to stare at the screen all the time. They can use this sort of technology to help them just by using their voice.
Yes.
And lots of other uses for this. So let me ask you the question then. Who is assistive technology for?
I'm glad you've asked that. It's for everyone. I know it's designed in many ways to be for disabled people, but to be honest, it's for everyone, because we could all benefit from doing things better, smarter, simpler. And we're moving in a world where it's media. You're using the media right now, media of film and music and sound. But the thing is, for people who struggle with these, with the traditional academic side, handwriting, paper, I've nothing against it. I'm not against any of that. I'm just saying you now have more options.
Yes.
And contained in your phone is the ability to take pictures, to record sound, to draw with your finger, to have text. You have all the tools in one box, and therefore it becomes such a thing. I want to share a story with you, because I love stories. Don't you, Liz? And
I do.
it's a little visual story. So I'm just going to pull this up, and I'll explain a little bit about it. This is Maggie. Maggie, she is in her mid-80s, and she has a condition known as macular degeneration. She is an author, and she is writing a book, which actually is about the history of her town, which is I won't mention unless she does. Okay, to protect the innocents.
That's good.
But what I'm showing here is how we should approach problems that we encounter, and how we as people can help each other to do that. Because she has a lot of nice things to say about me, which probably might be true, but I don't care. The most important thing is the interaction. So let's listen to Maggie. Maggie is supported by AbilityNet, which is a national charity which helps people do the technology for free for elderly and disabled people. And we cover the whole of the UK, from Scotland to Wales to England.
Wow.
And we have a network of 360 volunteers, just to say that. So here is Maggie.
Well, my name is Margaret Dodson, and I live in Wiltshire. I've always been involved with books, both as a teacher, lecturer, and a writer. Well, I have macular wet degeneration. I've had it for a long time in one eye, which is now not much use. And suddenly the good eye began to go. Life just fell apart. My link to AbilityNet is through a particular person called Miles Pelling. And I was in a desperate state when he came, and I have now managed to get some of my life back on track. He came magically on his electric bicycle and came into the house, and we just started from there.
My name is Miles. I work with Maggie. I've been working with her for 6 months, and I've been helping her get to use her iPad Pro to do her writing.
And he's extremely good at helping me, and I'm sure he is with helping other people.
She is a great lady who really wants to continue to do what skills she has. She wants to be able to write, and so we looked at the technologies that might make that easier for her. Here's something that's making a difference to people's lives.
I don't know how I'd have managed without him, quite honestly.
She values the way we do it. The way we do it is non-threatening and cooperative.
But it's the personal approach that is so helpful. It's to help me to go on being me, I think.
Get the feeling she may want to call me every now and again to ask, Miles, can you help me with it? If you have a disability or a limitation due to a life-changing event, please contact us. Doesn't matter, we deal with all the major disabilities, and I'm sure from the basis of the knowledge I have of all the volunteers, we can help you.
AbilityNet has a network of 300 trusted volunteers who help older people and people with disabilities make the most of their technology. AbilityNet.org.uk.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And can I just say, what really touched me about that particular story was the fact that it's something that crept up on her. You know, she felt like she was losing herself. She felt like she was losing the ability to do the things that she wanted to do. But with the aid of assistive technology, those barriers were just shut down. Okay, do I want to write? This is the way to write. Do I want to speak about something? This is the way to do it. Do I want to access something? This is the way I can do it. So I really love that.
The story developed, and she began to use a device called an OrCam, which is not generally known. The problem that she encountered was that she could actually, her macular degeneration got worse, and she couldn't actually read her own writing and own research. And so that was critical for her finishing the book. So the OrCam device fits on the side of your glasses. It has a little earpiece that fits in your ear. And when you point at the work that you want it read, it reads back to you what's in front of you into that earpiece. It also.
So does it have to be connected to a computer?
No, No, it's connected to your glasses. It's charged. It's Bluetooth, and it works independently of the computer. It's a true mobile aid, and
So,
not only
is this the type of thing that you could go and, let's say, it reads a street sign?
yes, absolutely.
Oh wow! Or
If you're
cam.
partially sighted, it would do that. There are apps on your phone that can do that. Microsoft Eye, I think it is. I think that's the app that will do that too, and that's free. But the Orcam is a whopping £4,000 to £5,000.
Wow.
It's a lot of money. So it wouldn't be for those seeing
Everyone.
eye. Yeah, it's called
Yeah.
Seeing Eye, and it's by Microsoft, and it will actually you can have a lot of fun with it at parties. I am looking at a 82-year-old lady smiling. But it
So,
will give you descriptions. Yeah,
that's really great, because it's the thing is, I know you said that we only use what we want to use, but I don't know about everyone in the audience there, but a lot of the times it's because some of the things we would like to use, but because we don't know it's there,
that's correct.
then we don't actually get over the barrier of whether it's writing or whether it's reading or whether it's something physical, the positioning of something, to be able to do what it is that we actually hope and what we want to achieve. So something like the word that you've described there, I would say that that's a tool that really anybody can take advantage of, even if it's after a tired day of work. You can use something along those lines. Are there any other things that you can share with us that you think would help people to actually be able to progress? So reading, I know, is one thing that people will use to broaden their horizon, to help them on their personal development journey, whether it's about researching a certain topic or whatnot. But if you're, let's say, going through research papers, lots and lots of research papers, especially if it's after your day job, that might be something that could be a barrier, having to sit down and read through all those papers. What could someone like that use?
Well, there is a thing called Natural Reader that actually reads back any PDF or document to you. That's a website, and that will allow you to read back things to you in that form. You could also connect, if you're looking at it in terms of leisure. No, that's not your question, but Audible links to Kindle, and Kindle links to the smartphone. Sorry, the smart speaker, so you can have it read on your smart speaker through Audible in an actor's voice, because the natural voice on Amazon can be a little bit monotone and not very interesting, with no rise or falls, and that's very difficult to listen to. So you need an actor's voice. Other research tools that might actually help you do that. The Google has a tool called Read Write extension. I don't know how many people of your listeners are aware of the extensions that you can have on Google Chrome, because they are enabling you to actually call in a particular tool, and it will read. You click on it and it will make things happen on that screen. And many of them are free. And all you need to go is look for the Chrome Web Store. If you do a search on the search engine for that, and that will bring in tools that will help you, that can enable you to read back publications. If you're using an Apple device, I will put this onto the page, by the way. I hadn't actually planned for this. It's called VBookZ, and it's a free app, and it will read back any PDF file or e-published book. If you're blind or partially sighted, there is an app called Easy Reader, which will load in any of the classics and read it back to you. That's a really wonderful little app that does that in any size and in any background color. You can alter it to suit your visual problems. So there's lots and lots of things
out there. Yeah.
Yeah,
But then
it's
we
just
need people
knowing
like
about
you
it. Who
to tell
knows
us.
about it? Yeah, absolutely. That's why I think I'm crucial to any kind of introduction of assistive tech. People like me. Sadly, there isn't a college. Well, there is very few qualification courses. It's mainly done by suppliers of tech who actually are good at explaining their product, but not so good at empathizing with the
With the
need.
people, right?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I work with the people's needs. Listen to what Maggie said. That's why I played it. You know, you have to listen if you're helping people. You really have to work out what it is that they want. And I absolutely loved the blind lady because she says, Miles, you didn't know that, did you? And I said, no, I don't. I'm so, I'm so glad when she calls me out and when I trip up and make a fall about, not literally fall, but when I make
Yes.
a blunder, like I switched off her Wi-Fi by accident, which knocked out all her assistive tech, and
Oh
she said,
dear.
"Yeah, he switched off all the Wi-Fi." She takes great delight in it, but it's great when people actually think they know more than you, and I love that because
Yes.
they're actually using it,
They're
and it's
learning.
nice. Yes,
Yeah,
and
they're
they're not
learning
only
it and
learning it; they're using it,
they're
and
using it,
because
so
they
they
need
actually know
to.
it. Yes.
Yeah, they do. And, they become ambassadors. I've taken her along
Mm.
to meetings with other blind people. And, she's been able to demonstrate what she can do. And that self esteem is marvelous. So, in your personal development, if you learn something, take it along and share it with somebody because
Yes.
your self esteem is going to really raise. You might not all be teachers, but you can always share something. Say, hey, I found this out and it's really good. Yeah.
We're all for that. We're all for that here, really. It's about sharing and not just things that you know in terms of tools, but also your experiences so that
Yeah.
someone else doesn't have to go through that experience, or so that somebody goes through that experience to get the same positive result. But sometimes we might get the opinion that people don't need to know what I know. Surely people know that already. Surely people know that you can do speech to text and text to speech and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's just a case of just taking that little step to say, look, I find this really useful.
Yeah.
It might be useful to you. So let me ask you then, do you think there's a stigma to using things that have been branded as assistive technology for people with disabilities and people
Yes.
that aren't registered as disabled using that? Is there a stigma, do you think, attached to that,
Yes.
or not really?
Absolutely. I'll tell you the story of the potato peeler. It's very
Oh,
entertaining. A lovely potato peeler was designed with a special grip. Of course, if you have a problem with your hand functioning, peeling potatoes is particularly awkward. And so what they did was they designed a potato peeler that peeled potatoes really well. And they suddenly thought, hey, it's got a really good handle. This will work for disabled people. I tell you what, we will market it as a tool for disability. Do you know what happened? They sold less potato peelers as a result of that because they thought, oh, that's for disabled people.
yeah.
And
Yes.
it's a real object lesson in how product, how you design products for a specific market. Let's consider the iPad. Now, the iPad is generally considered a tool for everybody. It's not a disabled tool, but yet disabled people are able to use it because it has a lot of good tools in it. If you
Functions.
can't speak,
Yes.
it's got assistive technology that enables you to speak for you. Many of you might know the Lost Voice guy. He uses his iPad and he has his voice on there. So, here's the Lost Voice guy, the chap who won Britain's Got Talent, that kind of thing. Or, yeah.
Oh, no, I
Those
didn't know
shows.
that person.
You don't know him? Oh, you must look him up. Lost Voice guy. He's very funny. And he plays on his disability. So
Yeah.
it's extremely funny to watch. Yeah, just look it up on YouTube, folks. Great entertainment. But yeah, there are products that are designed for disabled people are considered to be for disabled people. Actually, my feeling is, and yours too, I think, is
Yes.
good tech is good tech for everybody, whether it's got the label or not. And of course, there is a whole industry. Do you know we're world leaders in the UK in this area?
Oh,
In
wow.
Europe, they know about physical disability, but they haven't got a clue about neurodiversity, which is the posh word for dyslexia and brain injury and all that kind of thing. They don't
Yes.
know anything about that, but we do, and we have hundreds of suppliers that you can talk to in the British Assistive Technology Association, of which I'm a council member. Plug, and yeah, you can find out all the kinds of different tools that I've been talking about today there as well on our website.
And that's the British Assistive Technology.
Yeah, I'll share the screen so you can see it. Okay,
Right.
it's there
So
for you.
I think that's one of the main aims, really, is just to highlight the fact that everybody can have access to these sorts of technologies, and to use what you have available to you in the society that we live in, with technology expanding and growing and becoming, you know, more suited to our lifestyles. Use it to your advantage to help you move forward. You know, knock down some of those barriers, because you don't have to wait for a life-changing circumstance for you to then say, oh, now I need something to help me with writing or reading or hearing or listening, or, you know, going through lots of different books, you know, with enough time to be able to enjoy them and then put them into practice, rather than waiting until I'm however many years old to be able to finish my book list or something along those lines. So we have a lot there, a lot that's there to actually help us, but it's getting away from that barrier of prejudice that, oh, this is something for people with special, either maybe special needs. Will people think that I have a problem? And you know, will I be confident enough to actually say, yeah, actually I enjoy using it because it helps me relax my eyes when I need to, or whatever it is. So it's really just coming up with those, just realizing that it's useful for you and taking it on board and using it. It's there.
Absolutely. And each day a new technology comes out that could be useful to somebody. So it's knowing it is so important, and information sharing. So yeah, that's the website there, and you can explore it and go through all the different things that I've been talking about under members or groups. Under the members directory, there's a whole list of people there that you can call up.
Contact with.
Yeah,
So,
I'll just go there.
so I know we're talking to an international group of people that are in the chat room. And
Okay.
I'm happy to, we've got just a few seconds left, but I'm happy to just sort of run. It's the last in the series, so 5 minutes. I think we can have an extra 5 minutes, can't we? I know you've done some work and talks with, you've had delivered some speeches and talks in the Lebanon.
That's correct, yeah.
And we're talking about the UK here. There are lots of things available here in the UK. How are things available in different places like the Lebanon? What's the feel that you get in other parts of the world?
Oh, sorry about this.
That's okay.
Let's take my pills. Okay. It's not my pills to keep me sane. It's just pills. Anyway, yes, it's not as plentiful in Arabic, but it's growing. There are more and more tools in Arabic, and you know, it's a question that the major players like Microsoft are there. But some of the other suppliers that provide the kind of tools that we're talking about, particularly text to speech, are available there and put into universities. But this is not the problem as in terms of the tools. It's the culture and the perception of disability. You know, the 2012 Paralympics changed the climate in the UK and made disability cool, because people could see people using blades or using wheelchairs and achieving great things, and broke down a few barriers. There are plenty of discriminatory and problems in our own country, but they're worst in these other countries, where literally you have to set up your own business if you're disabled, because no one will employ you. That's what happens in Lebanon, because there is a perception that if you're disabled, you cannot contribute. And I must share a story that I learnt the other day from a photographer, a war photographer. He was in Afghanistan. He became a triple amputee when he had 3 of his limbs taken away from him through a landmine. And he went to see a guy in Cambodia in a similar war zone, who at the time of the Khmer Rouge had a similar experience with landmines. And he got invited back to his house. Apparently this man never invites people back to his house. And the reason why is this: he took him into his house, which was one room. He lived with his sister. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a purpose or a focus. And there were 3 baskets on the floor. And the middle one, there were dog baskets. They were on the floor. And the guy pointed to the middle one and said, "That's my bed." He literally was living like a dog. So we have so much to give. The guy who lost his triple arms and stuff, and I've heard it from other people with the most horrendous difficulties, say they lived the most fulfilled lives they ever had, even with limbs. It was the most fulfilled. I'm sure they would want
Wow.
their limbs back, but they say they're so motivated because A, of the tech, but also of the attitude and the willingness for people to take on board. So my mission in the Lebanon is to tell them what the little small step they need to take. They're big on their ideas, and it's not a criticism of Lebanon, but they just, what can I do now? Because actually that's what will change their worlds. Well, it's just being able to identify that one small thing that can make a change, because you cannot spend £4,000 or £5,000 on an individual in the Lebanon without, some people can, but that's
Funding,
really
if you had
difficult. Yeah.
a communal funding. And I think
Even in
that's
this
one of
country,
the,
we have that problem, let
yes,
alone
it definitely, yeah.
elsewhere.
And I know there
Yeah.
are steps even in this country to be able to do, assistance at work and things like that. But then one pattern that I have seen in some places is the fact that people are quite happy to maybe try and adjust a few little things so that somebody with a disability can do some work in their organization. But it's translating that person doing work for them, and actually paying them for the work that they're doing.
That's right. Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
the other thing as well. It's all, it's all well and good saying, yeah, you can do it now because you can use this machine, or you can do text to speech to do maybe notes or something along those lines. But if you're spending time in that office, really, you should be paid for that work. So I think, yeah, in the UK, we do have a long way to go as well in terms of how we view people with disabilities, and how we as individuals can take advantage of technology that's there to be able to use it for our advantage as well.
We don't shout enough about what we do. And as we're British, we don't shout about what we do. The Americans do, and other cultures do, but not the Brits.
Can I ask one question, just because as we wrap up?
Sure.
We had a question here that said, is there legislative requirement for technology companies to design products with assistive technology, or what's the word that I usually see? There's usually a word, accessible. Yes, this website is accessible, or things like that. Is there a legislation that actually forces organizations to do that?
In the EU, they're bringing in legislation of that kind.
Okay.
I think it's called EU 29 or 24. It's an act and order of that. In the US, they've had the Disability Act, which George Bush Sr. brought in, where the legislation is very much that. But it's variable according to state. I was speaking to a guy in Idaho just before this call about how it works in the US, and they have the same arguments we have over here, which usually revolves around who's going to pay. But there is legislation. In this country, we have a matrix of different things, from the Equalities Act through to the special needs EHCP plan for children, which stretches from 0 to 25. So, we all of us are making progress in the direction. So laws will help to enforce some things, to change things. But they will also introduce some challenges as well, as people demand their rights. And that's fine if their rights are rightly suited, but not all rights are that way. And so there's no flexibility when that happens. You have to provide this device because it's the law. I think it has to be on the needs of the individual that's the primary emphasis.
That's right. But I think one point that you made very clearly was that if you design technology with being able to, with assistive technology in mind, then it should help everyone. Like you said, with
Absolutely.
the iPad. So if you're designing something, actually make it so that it's very easy with lots of different functions for people to use, then more than likely you'll be helping other people, even if that's not your target market in that sense.
Yeah, I have a great story about that, because when it first came out, I thought, what am I going to use this for? I can't hold it up to my ear. It's not going to be so big as this thing. But you know what? It actually, I used to have children say to me, oh, here comes Miles, that guy who gave me that brick to carry around school. You know, laptops are quite heavy and big, and if you're in a secondary school, you move around from class to class, so you have to carry this heavy, great brick around with
Yes.
you. Now they've got this light mobile solution, and it doesn't have stigma. It doesn't. It's just accepted as a teaching tool. So it's become the norm, and you're not advocating just iPads, but any mobile device.
Yeah.
It's removed that, and now you don't have the tag on it. So I really think that breaks down barriers, and it's actually a tool for everybody. It's the potato peeler in reverse.
In reverse,
Okay.
yeah. So I really do want to throw sort of a challenge out there to everyone, that if you consider yourself using a device or an app or a tool that is generally considered to be for somebody with a disability, and you don't consider yourself to have a disability, if you feel uncomfortable about that, I would really like to throw a challenge out to you to really dig deeper to find out why. Why is it that you feel maybe so ashamed that somebody could look at you and think that you are disabled? Is there anything wrong with being disabled? And really just question yourself in terms of that, because even that in itself could probably help you see somebody with a disability differently. And that hopefully will make this place a better, this world a better place. Because, I'm sure most people are not going out specifically to target others to target people with disabilities. But unfortunately, our prejudices do follow us, and we do react to people in different ways based on what we think their problem is or what we think their issue is. So employers out there as well, any of you, if you're employers, try and actively go out to seek brilliant minds out there who, might actually have a disability. It means that they could probably bring a different aspect from their understanding into your world to help your business grow and go further. So consider things like that as well.
Yeah,
Miles, yes, go ahead.
No. The only thing I would add to that is that there are advantages in employing people with disability because you're increasing your footfall in at least 5% of the population who may have a need that needs that answered. And also the fact that some of the problems we have is quoted normal. I'm saying inverted commas because what is normal? But it's offending people. Offending people with disability. Let's remember that they're used to their life the way it is. So they're not offended if you say, I can't understand what you just say. Can you say it again? Because they're used to that. We have that problem. We don't want to make them feel embarrassed. What I find most embarrassing for disabled people is being ignored. That's the worst embarrassment, and the thing that they find most offensive. What you do to interact with people with different needs is valued. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much for those wise words, and thank you so much for coming in and giving us some of those tips on text to speech, speech to text, reading tools. I'm going to type up some of those things that you mentioned, like OrtCam, because who knows, there could be charities out there that could go to other countries to provide those services. Natural Reader, Read Write extensions, and the VBook as well. Is it VBook Z? VBook Z. And I know that African American mums lessons really, I can't go away without asking you, really wanted to find out how to change the language on the text to speech, on the speech to text function on Word. Are you able to show us that or tell us exactly where it is to change the language? Because there'll be people that want to use it in their own local language.
Okay.
But if you can't, that's fine. We can sort of research it, and then you can write a message of how to do it, and we can just post that in the description if that's.
It's usually under grammar. I'm not sure I can do it on the web version because it's a cut down version. But you're going to find it under grammar, and you're going to find it under changing the language and settings on the settings of the computer. If I tried to do it here, we would lose connection. I think. But yeah, I will certainly write that on the blog piece and give you some directions about how that could work. Okay.
Fantastic. Great. And just that's it, really. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for telling us all about these things. Thank you for helping us to be able to break down some of those barriers in our personal development, whether it's reading articles, whether it's writing your book, your arms are tired and your fingers are tired of being able to actually achieve that goal. There are things that you can use to assist you to be able to accomplish the things that you want to do. And some of those things are available. They're right under your nose, and you can hopefully access those and achieve your goals. But thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, Miles, for coming in. I know there are lots more stories that you could have told us, but we're just out of time.
That's okay.
And
It's been a pleasure.
we're just out of time.
Thank you.
But thank you for demonstrating to us as well how these things work. And thank you for also sharing your experiences of the people out there, because that's one thing that we didn't really touch on as well, which is that every single person on this planet is different. Although you might fall into a box of having a disability, blind, whatever the case might be, every single person is a human being and different. And that's what you do. You go in and you see the person for who they are, and then work out what that individual person needs, rather than the disability.
Yeah.
This is a solution to the disability. Actually, this is a solution for this person, this individual person.
Absolutely. My website says changing people's lives one person at a time. And there's a phrase I often use. I use it on different disabilities. If you've met a person with autism, you have met one person with autism. There are hundreds of others with different autisms. If you met one person with dyslexia, you have met one person with dyslexia, and there are so many different types of things. But you are you, and you are uniquely you, and you are important. So that's the message, really.
And be willing to learn about other people, so that you can broaden your experience by actually taking.
Develop empathy. Empathy is in short supply. Empathy is understanding the world from that person's point of view.
Thank you so much, Miles. We will call it a day there. I'm just going to wrap up for the end of this series. It's been so much fun. Thank you once again, Miles.
That's all right. Anytime, Liz.
So thank you for watching. Thank you for coming in today. I just thought we needed that little bit of time just to wrap everything up for this season. Hopefully you'll be having a lovely summer holiday to enjoy with your family, and maybe sort certain things out that we've spoken about, whether it's your finances, whether it's your family, whether it's your health, whether it's your physical, mental health, goals, all these things that we can really take time to work on. And thank you for everyone who joined in and asked questions. We'll be coming back again with lots more interviews to be able to help us on our personal development journey. But while I'm away, I'll still be posting videos on this channel, which is A Producer's Life, just general videos. And also do go ahead and look at some of the previous interviews that we've had there with, we forgot Linda Demba. So, you can go through and actually recap on some of those things. If you missed any, we had Anne Biaudet as well, who came in, and that was a really great interview. Just go in, get all the knowledge that you need from these interviews, share them, like them, and learn from them. And hopefully we will be seeing you very soon. The other thing that you can do on this site as well, on the Producer's Life, is you can watch Let's Cook, which is my show. And if you're looking for something to keep you entertained, then you can go ahead onto the Producer's Life as well. Everything's in playlist. Just look for the Let's Cook TV show playlist, and you can watch the 6th series of that if you'd like to keep yourself occupied and entertained and inspired during this time that we're away. Once again, my name's Elizabeth Ingero. Thank you very much. Take care for now. Bye-bye.